On Saturday, a protest was held outside Gracey Mansion, where I live with my wife, Rama. Neither of us were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home. While I found this protest
Ladies and gentlemen of America, it is time to stand up. It is time to turn the baseball caps back to the front, or take them off. It is time to pull your pants up, children. It is time to recognize that the terrorist threat is still real. Have you forgotten about 9/11? It was 25 years ago that New York City was under attack. Well, now it's under attack again, this time from both the enemies without and the enemies within. The enemy within, of course, being Zero Mumdummy, the supposed mayor of New York City, who basically stood helpless as a baby, while honestly, a bunch of terrorists were trying to picket the mayor's mansion and also plan a crafted homemade bomb or a self-made device, as the media would tell you. It is time to spin the baseball caps to the front of you. It is time to pull your pants up. It is time to recognize the terrorist threat is still real and still very much alive. Don't think it can't happen here, because it can, and it is happening here. Yes, of course, this is Robazoid, and that statement you just heard from Zero Mumdummy at the intro about how this was all white supremacy, absolute bullcrap, nonsense. And it is time for this man to be recalled as mayor of New York City. It is time for someone in the Republican Party to grow a goddamn spine, stand up, and challenge this man, because New York City is falling fast. New York City is now become New Yorkastan under this man, Zero Mumdummy. And you're going to see exactly what I mean as we go along. Take a look. I don't see how anybody could be so short-sighted that they would actually think that this was done by white supremacists. I mean, how stupid is that? And how stupid is this so-called mayor of what used to be called New York City? There's no other way to say it. This was another terrorist attack. This was the worst attack on New York City since 9/11. And you know what? This time around, you don't have a leader who's going to do anything about it. I mean, sure, you have President Trump, but he can only do so much, and he's incredibly busy, basically getting a nice ass slathering from the likes of Pawn Vanity, that nothing's going to get done. Yes, it is I, the Robazoid, your semi-likable and occasionally tolerable curmudgeon of the Screwtube and Rumble airwaves. Yeah, I'm not feeling much like today, because I have absolutely no like or even love for the people of New York City, who did absolutely nothing to stop this would-be terrorist attack that was done by two members of what appeared to be like an anti-Iranian type of protest, or whatever the hell it was all about. But I can tell you, these people were not exactly trying to emulate the ways of Iranian terrorism, which used to exist up until now. Instead, what they were doing was they were actually outside of the mayor's mansion, yes, hoping to, well, do something with Zero Mumdummy and his crazy Drek artist wife. But they weren't home, so there was nothing that they could do. Ain't nobody home, so nobody got hurt or killed. But then again, we're talking about Zero Mumdummy. Would that have been a huge loss? Take a look at some of the footage here from, what is this? News Nation, and you'll see exactly what I mean.
Tonight, 2 people have been arrested after 2 suspicious devices were thrown near Gracey Mansion. That's the official residence of New York City Mayor Mumdummy. Now, according to NYPD, this happened at an anti-Islam protest that drew a couple dozen people near the mansion. It led to a much larger counter-protest of more than 100 people. And you can see one of the devices here, it actually smoked before it was extinguished. It was thrown towards a group of protesters, and another was dropped off near a line of police, with that moment caught on camera. Take a look.
It's my job to say take a look. Why don't you take a flying leap? That's New York City under Zero Mumdummy, folks. That's New York City today under Zero Mumdummy.
If this seems chaotic, it's because it was. But the 2 men you see on your screen were the pair arrested, and this was the moment police say one of the devices was handed off, then lit. Here's another angle of the suspect running with the device towards police. You can see it smoking there.
Stop calling it a device, it's a bomb.
Into custody. He's now being identified as an 18-year-old by the name of Amir Balat. The bomb squad is now examining these devices closely.
The devices, which were a bit smaller than a football, appear to be a jar wrapped in black tape, importantly with nuts, bolts, and screws, along with a hobby fuse that could be lit. At this time, we do not yet know whether the devices were functional improvised explosive devices or hoax devices.
Now, you know me, I'm not one for montages, but we have to start off with this one CNN piece where even they have to admit that this was a terrorist attack on New York City, whereas most of the alphabet soup networks and, well, never mind PMS now, they wouldn't even acknowledge that this was a terrorist attack or that anything happened. They're probably going to go along with Zoro Mumdummy's ridiculous theory that this was all white supremacies behind all of this, even though the suspects were identified as 2 Muslims and also probably radical extremists as well, because I don't think a moderate Muslim would do anything like this sort of thing. And of course, it'll be followed very quickly by 2 pieces from Fixed News, or Fox Noise, whichever way you like to call them, because quite honestly, I don't think they report any better than CNN does. Just take a look at this nonsense.
Both men that were arrested following these protests in relation to those 2 explosive devices admitted to having been inspired by ISIS. Now, I also want to add that last night when the police commissioner briefed the media on this incident, she did say that the investigation was still underway, and she emphasized that so far there appeared to be no nexus to the situation unfolding in Iran. So I just want to mention those 2 things right off the bat, because we are learning that while these 2 men said that they were inspired by ISIS, the commissioner did say last night that this incident did not specifically have a nexus to Iran. However, she did say the investigation is ongoing.
Fox News has learned of a disturbing development involving the type of explosive used in the attempted attack and just how dangerous it is. Let's bring in retired NYPD Inspector Paul Morrow, who has more information on this device that was found. So it was a homemade device, Paul, but not necessarily a cheesy one, in other words.
No, not at all, John. And I have to tell you, having done about 15 years...
It wasn't a cheesy one like the kind they used to use in music videos.
Game changer. First of all, let me start by saying New York City got extremely lucky yesterday. TATP is enormously volatile. It is not.
I don't see how lucky they are under Zero Mumdummy. I don't call that lucky.
If you go by past events of serious bombing attacks, the London 7/7 attacks, Richard Reed's attempt on the plane, many of us remember the Ariana Grande attacks outside the Manchester Arena. These are situations where you're well into double figures of people killed, never mind injured. So this was a very, very serious attempt, much more serious, I would argue, than it likely seemed to many right initially. And as to why they didn't detonate, in light of the fact that they were charged the way they were, is going to be something I'm sure that the federal authorities are going to be looking at very closely as they investigate these two perps.
Yeah, and hats off to the New York City Police Department for running in and stopping those attacks. They didn't just run away or go to a place of safety. We continue to follow a developing situation outside Gracey Mansion, the official home of New York City's mayor, who at this time
I don't think these guys should be smiling while reporting this.
The NYPD says it is now investigating a suspicious device found inside a vehicle. This comes after 2 men were arrested.
Yeah, again with the word device, we know what it was. It was a bomb, you schmuck.
2 dueling protests near the mayor's mansion. Sources tell Fox News those devices were made with a dangerous material used in some very high-profile terror attacks. Fox News contributor Paul Morrow joins us once again on the phone. I suppose it is no surprise.
Haven't we heard enough from that guy?
If there were a couple of devices that were thrown yesterday, that leaving a device in a car or a truck nearby.
A device. Everything is a device.
Yeah, no surprise there, John. It tracks the things that we've seen in the past, certain ones that I'm sure the public recalls well, like, for instance, the Boston Marathon bombing, when the Tsarnaev brothers were actually fleeing from the police. Once they'd been discovered, they had all kinds of other devices that they were actually
and they put those assholes on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
They were being pursued. So I don't know what
Excuse
the plan
me,
was
Rolling
of these
Stain.
guys, but my gut tells me that almost certainly this is connected to the events that we saw yesterday. They wouldn't be undertaking the evacuations that they're undertaking now if they didn't have strong indicia of potentially live devices in the car. And it is likely down to either some follow-on event that they wanted to do, or perhaps, as I said, something that they reasoned.
All right, enough. I don't want this thing to run too long. You see, that's what Fox News did, or should I say Fox Noise. They downplayed the whole thing, just like Zero Mumdummy was doing. He downplayed the attack. Was it going to be another case of some people did some things, like Jihad Omar said about 9/11, which, remember, took place almost 25 years ago. But the further away we seem to be getting away from that event, the further away most people's memories are fading. What short memories you all have. All of you, short memories. You've forgotten that 9/11 happened. Some of those of you who weren't even born when 9/11 happened, well, you should study it. You should learn about it. And you should realize that America is still very much under attack from both the enemies without and the enemies within. This has been the Robozoid saying, I hope you understood all of this. You don't have to enjoy this video or anything, but I at least hope you understand that the threat is real. We are under attack still. Don't think that it can't happen here, because it is happening here. And also remember, of course, that wokeness is weakness. And above all else, don't drink the Kool-Aid or the soy. They're just poison. And of course, remember, God bless America, and God damn the enemies within and without. Not to mention, of course, the fact that we are still the #1 nation in America. Trump is our president. Now it is time to remove Zero Mumdummy from what he thinks is power. Until then, be here or be absolutely nowhere.